Shams Charania just doubled down on all of his Giannis Antetokounmpo trade reporting, and this is a very wild situation, as of course the Raptors have been in the mix, have been in the hunt for Giannis Antetokounmpo for years now at this point, and given the state of the Milwaukee Bucks franchise and how things have been going for their organization, all signs pointing to Giannis Antetokounmpo departing from Milwaukee this summer. And reports from Shams that really escalated all these trade talks, rumors, and speculation just a couple of weeks ago seem to have been shut down over the past couple days due to some comments from Giannis and most importantly from a report from Brian Windhorst. However, the top dog in Shams Charania just doubled down on his initial reporting, and it has really flipped this situation on its head once again. So we're going to discuss what this report is saying, what's going on with this Giannis Antetokounmpo stuff, and frankly, what the realistic timeline is for a Giannis trade, because it doesn't look imminent, but it doesn't look impossible. So lots of stuff to break down, folks. I've been saying it on these vids. If you're following the private jets, if you're in the helicopter tracking Giannis every move and everything that could potentially happen on this Giannis watch for the Toronto Raptors, on that scouting, you want to stay up to date with every little thing that's going on with this Toronto Raptors team, and most importantly, the Raptors' quest for a big fish this summer. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, because frankly, there is a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of stuff coming out in regards to Masai Ujiri's plans for improving this team in the offseason. So lots of stuff to break down. Again, hit that sub button. It's free. It's down below. It helps out the channel a ton. But what's going on here? Because let's take a look, because this situation's been turned on its head a ton. Earlier this summer, Shams Charania came out and said that two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo has not made any firm decisions, but for the first time in his career, he's open-minded about whether his best fit is remaining with Milwaukee or playing elsewhere. League sources have told ESPN. Now, this is the first time we've heard a report drop like this from one of the big dogs, from, Woj or Shams, from the deepest insiders in the NBA about the possibility of Giannis actually leaving the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's what added fuel to the fire of all of the other reports coming out about the Raptors being after big fish, Doug Smith linking Giannis having mutual interests with the Toronto Raptors, of course the Raptors having interest there, Grange doubling down on that, Lewinberg doubling down on that. People across the league, everyone was talking about the possibility of the Toronto Raptors going full tilt after Giannis, and Giannis actually being interested in joining the Toronto Raptors. There's been reports about his interest, about this, about that. So that's what we've been dealing with. That's what we've been discussing. That's what we've been breaking down over the past couple of weeks. Now, it felt like Giannis made his decision. He firmed up his, reassured his desire to stay in Milwaukee with a recent report that came out from Brian Windhorst, where he came out and said that right now, there's no Giannis Antetokounmpo trade market. There's no Giannis Antetokounmpo trade discussions. He has not asked for it. The Bucks are not looking to trade him. So this doesn't directly contradict this initial report, as Giannis is, of course, he hasn't made any firm decisions, but is gauging whether or not he wants to stay there, wants to leave, wants to stay. And basically, in unison with this report from Brian Windhorst, Giannis came out in an interview and basically said, hey, I'd love to make the NBA Finals with the Milwaukee Bucks once again, out there in an interview with Eurobasketball Hoops. So this essentially shut down a lot of the hopes and dreams for Raptors fans, for Knicks fans, for Spurs fans, whoever it is that are interested in acquiring Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the reality of what ended up happening. But then things just flipped on its head once again. And basically, Shams doubled down on his initial reporting, saying that there is a difference between being open-minded, from what I am told, and exploring other options, actively exploring other options. There's a difference between doing that and asking for a trade. He is in the process of figuring out what he wants to do. So Shams came down and essentially doubled down on this initial report, everything that came out right from the jump. So Shams is coming out and directly saying, Giannis hasn't fully just tilted, I'm 100%, I'm locked in on the Milwaukee Bucks moving forward. Shams is the deepest insider who I know is, and we'll talk about the next tweet from Giannis, but he is a guy that's not going to risk his credibility in terms of throwing out reports if there's no legs to them whatsoever. This is the guy that's the most respected, most deeply inside reporter in the entire NBA. So he's coming out and saying this about no assurances, no confirmations in terms of Giannis' future, and it makes sense. It makes sense in regards to looking at the roster they have out there, the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, it is bad. It is bad. Giannis there, locked in big money deals, he should be, but Dame going to be out next season, making $60 million with a torn Achilles. You have Kyle Kuzma, $21 million to essentially sit on the bench out there in the playoffs. You have Portis, who's expected to come back, but the Warriors are also interested. And you're losing Brook Lopez. You really don't have a ton in terms of cap flexibility. You don't have a ton in terms of young prospects. You just don't have a ton out there for this Bucks team, and they don't have their draft picks for the foreseeable future. So it's a team that's in a desperate situation. Even if they tanked away next year with Dame being out, like, they don't have a position to prove this roster to an extreme extent. It is not a good situation the Milwaukee Bucks are in. So that's why I just said, hey, makes sense to blow it up, get some of the draft capital back, figure something out along those lines, and then move in that direction. So Giannis has, been in the mix, has been in those discussions and everything like that. There, Shams doubles down on the support. Then, basically, some people are combating this because Giannis came out and directly stated, does anyone miss Woj? And some more people are saying this, this is Giannis shutting down the idea that he's leaving, that he's in a different spot, that he's going to a different place. He's definitely going to stay in Milwaukee. He's loyal. He's this, he's that. And definitely that can read like that. I'm not shutting that off as, definite read in terms of what's going on. Of course, it's coming right from the horse's mouth and Giannis in terms of the guy. It's making a decision. But none of these, subliminal, these weird shots, these other things that basically are coming out really deflects or really contradicts what's being said in these reports. Giannis is still deciding what his plans are being. It still very well could be staying with the Milwaukee Bucks. It very well could be, in terms of, him leaving and asking out and looking at different options, looking at different teams. And Shams also, I don't have the screenshot of it, but Shams doubled down and said in this Pat McAfee interview where he's discussing all this stuff that it's not going to be the draft, it's not going to be free agency, it's really going to determine all this. It's going to be Giannis's desire for the future to stay with this team or to leave or to do whatever it is because, he's got to get a feel, he's got to make decisions. It's a life-changing decision for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's, a guy, of course, that's going to command everyone's going to be interested in Giannis. 30 points per game, 12 rebounds, 6.5 assists. And why this is super important for the Toronto Raptors is basically, as we've saw in this recent reporting and stuff, the Toronto Raptors are favorites to land Giannis if he requests a trade from the Bucks. He is not going to get traded if he doesn't request a trade. That's straightforward. He's a top 3 player. Why would the Bucks trade him? Even though it might make sense to the roster just to tank it down and rebuild and do whatever. But if he does request a trade, the Toronto Raptors are favorites to acquire the superstar from the Milwaukee Bucks. And that's the reality of it. That's the truth. That's what we're looking at out there in this situation. So that's why every little thing, every Sean's report, everything that's coming out regarding this Giannis situation, if it leads closer to a trade request, the Toronto Raptors are favorites. They are the lead. They are the most likely destination to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo at this point in time. So we'll break down all the latest developments, no matter what's going on, no matter how much shade Giannis is thrown out there at Shams, at these guys, at these reporters, because if a trade request does happen, that is game-changing for the entire future of the Toronto Raptors. Of course, the price will be very expensive. Of course, Masai Ujiri be forced into some very difficult decisions in terms of the amount of assets to give up for a guy that's 30 that is a multi-time MVP, that has won a championship, a finals MVP, one of the most stacked resumes in the entire NBA. But very much a guy that's going to command a serious trade offer, a serious trade package from the Toronto Raptors. Won't dive into that because we've discussed that a ton over the last little while, but weird developments, lots of stuff going, but Shams Charania has doubled down on this reporting. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. If you made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed, look down below, have a look, because 47% haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, and we want to deliver you all the latest updates regarding the Toronto Raptors. Make sure you guys hit that sub button. It means the world to me. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.